Today, we're checking out the new Sterling Musicman Cutlass or CT50. This might be proof that the days of the high-end guitars are numbered. Now that's a bold statement I just said right there, and I'm not gonna take it back. There are very few guitars in the last couple of years that have interested me this much. When I saw the specification sheet on this guitar, I was really intrigued. The Cutlass is not new to the Sterling line. Sterling is the more affordable edition of Musicman. These guitars are made in Indonesia and they have a great reputation. However, this one kind of ups the ante, ups the game up a little bit. And I want to go over some of the features because there's a lot. Now, some of the features are pretty standard on what you're going to see in affordable guitars. This is a poplar body, which I don't have a problem with it. We don't know how many pieces it is because it's painted. This is in a beautiful color called dropped copper. Roasted maple neck, which is something we're now associating with a lot of higher end guitars. It also has locking keys, and this is all standard stuff. This isn't like a lot of the higher end guitars where it's like, you know, levels. This is just how the guitar comes. Now, it's a 25.5-inch scale, like you would see with a Fender Stratocaster. I opted for the humbucker single model, but you can get it in the single. It has the Sterling bridge, which is basically their version of the Musicman bridge, and it's really impressive as well. Medium frets. Now, these are medium, not medium jumbo, so they're gonna feel a little bit taller than vintage fret wire, but not like your medium jumbo fret wire. Again, works with the guitar, especially since it has a 12-inch radius fretboard. A little flatter, a little easier to get that action down. Other features that are impressive is it has a dual action truss rod. That means you can adjust the neck either to pitch it back or pitch it forward. So you can definitely get this neck dead straight in any situation, any environment, which is again important. The nut is not specified, but doing some testing on it, I have definitely determined it's not bone. And so it could be basically a tusk, which is with a Q. For those of you who get upset every time I say tusk, they're not killing elephants to make this. It's a man-made material. Basically, it's a hard plastic. Now, it doesn't come with a gig bag or a case. That would be a nice additional feature, and it doesn't have strap locks or anything like that. It does, however, have the 5-bolt system that you always see with the Musicman guitars, and this beautiful carved part right here, and I call this the handshake when I grab the guitar like this. How comfortable is it? It's a little thick. For sure, if you have smaller hands, I wouldn't, think this is gonna be that comfortable, but there's nothing poking my palm or fingers. Like I said, it feels really good. So now let's check out the way the guitar sounds. I'm gonna start with the neck pickup. We're using a Fender 65 Deluxe Reverb with the Sm57 on it. I'm gonna go through all 5 pickup sounds and just start with the neck, and then we'll check out the volume and tone and see how that works. Let's start with the neck pickup. Here we go. So let's see how aggressive we can get the guitar. Right now I'm running the Engel Fireball 25 with the Keeley Caverns delay in the effects loop. And let's go ahead and see how it sounds with that. I have the Friedman Dirty Shirley, which is like a plexi amp with a Keeley Caverns reverb delay in the effects loop. I'm only using the reverb. I'm using the spring reverb on it. I'm running it through a 212 speaker cabinet with vintage 30s with an SM57. Let's go ahead and start this time with the bridge. good time also to check the tremolo system. Now, one thing I want to note is that when I got the guitar out of the box, the tremolo was really hard to use because the springs had been tightened down so much in the back. So I just loosened them a little bit, and it really kind of felt a lot better. So tremolo does really well. Now keep in mind, I wasn't really going crazy with it. If you dive bomb it, you'll pretty much knock it out of tune, but this isn't a bridge designed for that. It's designed to be a little heavy-handed on what you do, but not so much that you're going, you know, kind of dive bomb crazy with it, but holding tune more than what I would use it for if I was playing it. So the first thing we want to take notice to is this truss rod I was talking about. This is the dual action truss rod, but more importantly, it's a spindle truss rod, which means you don't need any special tools. And what's great about this is it makes it to where it's impossible to mess this up. I know that's hard to say, but it's pretty hard to mess this up. Anybody can make adjustments to this neck. That's why it's used on the high-end Musicmans and now used on this. The next thing we want to look at is the pickups. What I did is I went ahead and hooked up a cable to the output jack. We'll go ahead and run the volumes at full force. Let's take a look here. What do we have? We have the humbucker sitting at 7.73. So that would be considered a low output pickup. Now, if you notice, if we go right to the neck pickup, it's going to drop to 4.86. That's basically a 50 style pickup. So again, they're going for that very vintage Stratty vibe. Let's go to the middle pickup. It's going to put you at 4.91. Again, very vintage. So it's definitely going for a vintage tone. Okay, now it's time to take a look at this nut. And like I said, the material is definitely plastic, but they did a really good job cutting it, rounding the edges. It doesn't hurt. There's nothing poking. Sometimes when you're playing, especially certain chords like the barred F chord, you could poke your hand here or here when you're making chords, and this feels nice and smooth. They did a really good job. We're gonna go ahead and use some vintage fret wire, stick it through here, and we can see that basically it's touching almost across the entire fret, a little bit high here on the low string, so the low E. This slot right here could be cut down just a little bit, in other words, filed just a bit lower, but believe it or not, it plays fantastic. The action on this guitar came perfect. Let's take a look at that. I didn't have to do anything to this guitar, and when we measured it, it came right in at 1 millimeter off the 12th fret. So that is super low. Normally you're gonna see guitars set up with action around 2 millimeters off the 12th fret. Very impressive for them to be so aggressive with the setup out of the gate. But now what I wanna do is test the frets, and one way I do that to illustrate to you guys is I use a nylon sock. And now the reason I do that is because it's to simulate how the frets are gonna feel. Now we've learned, if you watch my other videos, you can go back to the back catalog, you'll see that when the frets are highly detailed and perfect, they literally make no marks on the nylon. When they have even a little bit of fret sprout, they can shred the nylon to pieces, and of course there's everywhere in between. Let's go ahead, and I'm just gonna head, like I said, rub it down the side, and you can hear it every time. It's catching somewhere between the first 3 frets, and again, you can see here, very minor marks right there. Let's go ahead and do the top. I'll switch to the other side. Again, showing you that it's clean now. And the top has no issues. And again, right here, this area is perfect. It's rounded, maybe catches just a little bit, and then up here, just a little bit more, and again, you can catch that. Now, again, it's not fret sprout. They rounded the frets off very nicely, but of course, if you leave any little catches or burrs, you'll catch this nylon. And I would say, I don't have a rating system for this, and I've been debating about making one. I'm gonna say out of 1 to 5, 5 being perfect frets, this is a 3 to a 4. So that's pretty impressive for this kind of guitar again. And they feel great. Like I said, I think you would be more than happy with these frets. Now on the electronics, it's exactly what I anticipated. This is the PC board 5-way switch, which I'm not a big fan of, and this will eventually over time break down. They don't take as much abuse. These are mini alpha pots, and again, that's something that some players don't like, the way they feel. Quality-wise, they'll be fine. I mean, they're in amplifiers, they're in EMGs, they're on all kinds of things, and again, nothing in this that concerns me. Like I said, you can upgrade these to better things. One impressive thing is that they did take the time to shield the cavity, so the entire cavity has been shielded, which is very impressive. And then pickup wise, we're seeing they're not using ceramic bars, they're actually using Alnico style slugs, and then of course your basic humbucker, but put together very well, and overall very impressive. Like I said, I don't know if I would change out the pickups. To me, if I was going to upgrade this guitar, I would definitely upgrade this switch, and maybe maybe the pots, but that's probably where I would go with this. The other thing that's worth noting is the output jack. It's really cool how they did it. They actually put a plate, but they used a barrel output jack and a plate. I love this. The quality of this is fantastic. Really overbuilt, really nice. Again, a lot of attention to detail on this guitar. Now, when it comes to the neck, it's thick. It's kind of like a 59 Les Paul. When I used the 59 Les Paul jig, you can see it was not as thick as that guitar, but also you can see where it's asymmetrical. In other words, it's carved more like your hand. This went all the way down to 12th fret. Again, very interesting carve, more asymmetrical than just a regular C carve, but the closest I could find to it on my neck jigs was the 59 Les Paul. I didn't want to just open this guitar out of a box and then decide if I liked it or not. This guitar I've been playing now for weeks, and I wanted to see how I really felt about it. And I'm going to give you now some assessments of the negatives and the positives that I found playing the guitar for well over a month. It's a really good guitar for about $499, which is what this guitar is going for. The $499 is also the negative of this guitar. I am seriously impressed with what they have achieved for $500 US. Roasted maple neck, locking keys, a cool design, a nice bridge, good fretwork. However, I think they missed an opportunity. I would have really been more impressed if this guitar was $699 or $799 and had really nice electronics. They did the work to shield the electronics, and the pickups are very good. They're very good. Like I said, plug in and play. However, some brand name pickups with some better electronics, this guitar would be a hard contender for maybe the Mexican-made series Stratocasters by Fender at about that same price point. I would pick this over that any day of the week. I like the locking keys, I like the roasted maple neck, and the neck carve is comfortable. Like I said, the weakness is in the electronics, but this is why I'm rating the guitar so high. That's the easiest thing for the average player to fix and upgrade. Putting in locking keys is easy, but of course you can't roast your own maple neck, and the average player doesn't have the files to make the nut right or the files to make the frets right. So the fact that they started there with good quality finish and workmanship is where I rated it a little high. Now, before I go, I'd like to point out that I have a whole catalog of videos on guitar reviews, guitar repair, podcasts, you name it. If you're into guitars, this is pretty much the place to be. And so please, if you get a chance to check any of that out, I'd appreciate that. As always, I want to thank everyone who returns to the channel and newcomers as well for your time. And until next time, know your gear.